Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our matrix conversion data done better webinar information session. So we can learn what to expect on the conversion day for our new system. I would like to just prepare everybody for the changes not to be apparent within the system, which is good news because for navigation and for day-to-day use, you're not going to see a whole lot of change. But really the project that we've undertaken here at Canopy is to really make the data better, hence the name Data Done Better. So let's go through a couple slides on a slideshow, and then I will move over to the system to give you all a demo of the new changes in the matrix system coming on February 6th. So first, we have a timeline that we're in the middle of currently. On January 1st, our select beta testers, we had 50 of them, completed their work on some things that we wanted them to test. They really put their heels in and dug in and really helped us identify some glitches that may have happened to avoid those, and to identify some just workflow issues that we needed to kind of streamline. But all that work was to help make the system roll out much better on our conversion day. Today, all the suggestions, all the enhancements, all the changes that we needed to implement into the system have now been locked into the new, what they call matrix RESO data dictionary. And basically what that means is there's a data structure that is built into the system that needs to be now finalized, and one last port over to the new platform or the new servers. So you all can see matrix pretty unaffected, except for a couple of new changes on the 6th. On February 2nd, across the top of your matrix system, you will see a yellow banner, and that will let you know that on the 2nd, the banner will read that on the 6th, the system will go into search only mode. So you can see a bullet here that says search only will happen on February 6th. On February 7th, we will go live with the add edit system. What does that mean to me? What that means is you cannot enter a listing on February 6th. So if you go to try to put in a listing on that day, the add edit system will be turned off and you will not be able to do that work. So just be prepared for that. If you've got a listing that you're wanting to put in, just make sure within that one business day or get your contract amended for that purpose. Again, that system will not be on February 6th. We will roughly be offline for add edit for about 24 hours. We don't know the exact time yet, but we will let you know as we get closer to the day. Now back up to the messages. On the 2nd, you'll see the message that will read to remind you of the 6th date to prepare for the inability to add a listing. On the 6th, we will actually put a countdown. So when we know how many minutes it's going to be before that's turned off, we're going to have a countdown timer to tell you that's how long you have before the add edit gets turned off. And then, of course, on February 7th, that will all be gone when we're fully online with the new Matrix Data Dictionary RESO standard. Why are we changing? First of all, our database is roughly 9 years old. It's highly customized to Canopy MLS and doesn't really communicate well with other platforms unless we do a lot of cleaning and reorganizing of the data. So in order to interface with other systems, our data must be remapped according to the Real Estate Standards Organization Data Dictionary. So basically, the conversion that we're seeing is behind the scenes in the data, which again shouldn't affect too much on the front end. So we shouldn't see a lot of changes where that's concerned. We have a history of leadership embracing industry initiatives to improve data standards and licensing through RESO and MLS Grid. So any of you that have ever worked with your IDX vendors are familiar with the Grid, and the Grid has been RESO compliant for many years. We're now getting our system at the native level RESO compliant. So when you enter the listing, it's already compliant without any reorganization. Converting ensures that listings entered into the MLS system are consistent wherever they're viewed. So that would be Matrix on your IDX sites, Realtor.com, and also in One Home, which has always been a frustration for our members, that data not transferring identically to One Home from Matrix. And we've been preparing this for a long time. Over the past several years, whenever there have been field changes, we've always been clear that we want to make sure that our goal is to get them RESO certified. So any change we made always made sure that we met within those compliance with any enumerations that may needed to occur. So we've been working on this for a long time. And again, we're going to have a much cleaner and a much more usable and a much more efficient database on the back end of this. What's the outcome? Fields and field names are going to be logical. So in the older system, when you were searching for a specific feature, it might not have made sense where that feature was in a pick list, or when you're adding a listing where you would choose that item to define it on your listing. So it's going to make it a lot easier with more and better organization. The native level of the data being the way you want it when it starts makes it easier for it to be implemented into emerging technologies with your IDX vendors, with any technology that you want to implement for yourself or for your office. Makes it much easier to convert to those new technologies. And it also enables us to effectively, efficiently, and consistently deliver quality service to you. So if we have a vendor that we want to provide a product to our members via, it's going to make it easier for us to implement and roll those out quicker, more efficiently, and again, consistently with all other places where the data is seen. So many of you, I recognize many names, have probably been through several of the conversions that we've done in the past. I've been through 5 of them myself, and we've always had a parallel period. The main reason for that is because most of the conversions we've done have been to the face of the system, and it may require some learning. And so we give you that opportunity. Really, the behind the scenes work is what's happening here. So there's less overhead when it comes to learning a new navigation, where things are located. Everything's going to be in the same place. Just again, better organized. Simple cutover also makes it easier for us to convert your contacts, your searches, all that customization that you created in Matrix that you want to move over is all going to be there. So no recreating contacts, no creating auto emails or save searches or any of that. It's going to move right over into your new Matrix system with, again, more organized data. Now, we do recommend, because we are reorganizing some of the data, we feel like we've done a great job of remapping it, so it should come off without too many hitches. But we do recommend that each individual check your listings, check your contacts, check your saved searches to make sure they still look as you intended them to, so they'll run correctly in the new system, or they'll have the right things connected to them. So there's a little work. We don't expect that you're going to have to change a lot, but we do recommend that you take a look and see if there's something that doesn't look right, and always utilize our help desk. We also have a dedicated website for this conversion, which I'll point out when we log in. But definitely, look at your things and help us identify maybe an issue that may arise that we weren't aware of. But we think we've buttoned up all the buttons, but of course, every conversion comes off with maybe a small hitch or two. So we just want to be prepared you for that. And again, you can make it better for us by checking your things when we convert over. So anybody that's working with your IDX vendors, we are doing all the heavy lifting, really. We communicated with your vendors. They know, they may have communicated with you about what's going to happen. Our staff person, AJ Suleiman, will send reminders to your vendors to remind them of the date and what's going to happen. And then a lot of our vendors have been seeing the data the way that we're going to send it to them anyway, so there may not be a change. All of our current data feeds were already RISO compliant. So again, it was the Matrix side that wasn't. And then we've been conscientious about ensuring any new fields and enumerations comply with RISO standards over the past several years. So they should see very little change. If you are using or know someone that's using the frameable IDX out of Matrix, which is the free IDX solution, they will, or you will have to regenerate your code for that site, but really simple. You can go right into the settings of your IDX piece and just reissue a code and plug that into your site. If you need help with that, the help desk can walk you through that also. All right, the future of listing data checker. So listing data checker goes hand in hand with the Matrix system. That is the system that we use to track, monitor, and process violations. So that will be turning off on February 2nd or 7th, sorry. And it will be off for 3 weeks. And that will give you all time to learn the new Matrix. It will give us time to test the new listing data checker system. And then we'll turn it back on February 28th. In the meantime, if you have a violation that you feel like needs to be reported, you can always send those to compliance@carolinarealtors.com. And then, of course, your reported icon will reappear on your listings on February 28th when that work has been completed. And then here is the really the exciting kind of bullets on what you're going to see in Matrix. So most of the things you're going to see in Matrix are all enhancements to your current functionality. Some of the things you'll recognize as maybe past functionality, maybe a little easier to get to, but not a lot of changes. Again, as I said before, most of the changes are in the data. So you can just see a list here of all the enhancements. We're actually going to go through each of these in our demonstration. So I'll just let you all digest a few of these. I think the big ones here are really the, oh, it's not even in this list. The best one is not even in the list. So I'll share all these with you and show you where they would apply. So new ad edit screens, one residential ad edit. So it eliminates that confusion of single family condo. You can switch it easily. We've got a new property category. We're going to have all the new property data forms, consolidated and reorganized fields, new choices, a new report for some of you, and then increased image size for your vendors where you're sending your photos. And then finally, let's just go take a look at all these new changes. So let me go ahead and stop sharing this screen. We're going to go ahead and share my browser screen here. And so what you're going to see is the new Matrix system. Right now, you can see this is still a work in progress. You all cannot access this again until the day we cut over, which again is the 6th. So the day you log in on the 6th, it will look like this, minus the red bar at the top. Remember, it will have the, or sorry, on the 2nd, you'll have the yellow bar that identifies that the 6th is a day that ad edit will go off. And then on the 7th, or on the 6th, you'll have the red message. And then, of course, that will go away on the 7th. So right up here at the top where it says work in progress, this is where all your messaging and your countdowns will appear when we cut over to the new system. All right. As we move down below, we're just going to start with some high-level changes. One, the first one that you're going to see is that there's a new tab. Under search in our old matrix used to be where you'd find agents and offices. Now we have a roster tab where you can search for members or agents. You can search for an office, and you're now going to be able to search for teams within that mechanism as well. So we're going to have team name list, we're going to have office lists, member lists that you can search through, find all the information you need, communicate with them through the same way you would in the roster before. We just moved that out to its own tab for convenience. So a small change. I think some of you will appreciate that use that roster, that you don't have to go and find that in that long list anymore. All right, the next thing, let me back up one step. I want to show you in the current matrix system, you may have noticed this already. We posted this, I guess, yesterday. This data done better link right here is going to take you to our dedicated website. So all the information I'm sharing today, this recording will be out there as well. We're going to do a webinar on the 1st that you can register for from there. And we've got an FAQ section. So if you want to get out to our website, you can do that by going to the news and alerts area and clicking on data done better there at the top. All right, so back over here. So something else you're going to notice when you go into your ad edit is that the process of going to a listing is not going to change. So if you're entering a listing and you forget everything you heard today and you go in on the 7th and the system's turned on, you're probably not going to notice much difference in your first few clicks. It's going to be ad edit. It's going to be add new like you do now. Okay, it's then going to be, oops, sorry, I got to go over this other one real quick. Bear with me. Let's do this one. All right. So again, you're going to go into add edit. You're going to go add new. You're going to pick one of the new property category names. Okay, let me just go through these real quickly. Residential ad edit is now single family or condo townhome. The beauty of that is when I go in to put in a listing, and I'm on the basic information, property info. And if I mistakenly go in and I put this in as a single family and then publish that listing and then later realize it's a condo, all I have to do is go back to that property info tab, switch that over to condo townhome, whichever one it is, then they're separate. And then also remember, don't forget, if you didn't fill all this in, the condo townhome information is separate in its own separate location. So where many of you may have had to re-enter a listing completely in the past because the wrong property category. This will now combat that. You won't have to worry. All you have to do is switch that toggle from one to the other or to the other. Now, if we go back into add edit, start over again, add new, you're going to see residential multi-unit add edit. That's what we used to call multifamily. We want to be clear that that's not only for multifamily single buildings, but also for portfolio listings. If you want to list several properties in one listing, that would be your opportunity to do that there as well, as it always has been. But we think it just is clearer on the naming by calling it residential multi-unit. Lots, acres, and farms, as it always has been. We have added a new property category called commercial lease. So we have commercial sale, but if you are leasing a commercial property, you can also enter that under commercial lease. The commercial used to be a catch-all. We've now added a new property category, and we still have our rental. And of course, all of our comp sales are still there for the ones that would apply. So in the changes here is some of the names and the new commercial lease. All right, so once we've chosen our property category, again, we can still go in and use our realist tax system to auto-populate. Really no change here. Put in something. And you're going to get to your input form. It's going to look exactly like it does today with a few changes, starting with some new tabs. So as we move across, some of the tabs, the names have been shortened, but others are completely new. For example, we have a tab dedicated to rooms. I'm really excited about that one. We'll talk about it when we get to it. We also have a tab dedicated to green sustainability. So that's a new tab that just is for those green options. So starting with our first tab, status hasn't changed. The same verbiage here, the same choices, the same policies are all going to apply. When we move over to our location tab, not a lot of changes here, except for, one of the bigger changes, but only two changes that I can see on this page. They are first, the state is identified here for the purpose of suppressing information that may or may not apply across licensure. For example, if I select North Carolina as the state and fill in my North Carolina address, and I move over to the property info tab, I believe that's where it is. Nope, it's on the agent office tab. Under the transaction brokerage, this is not editable. You cannot put transaction brokerage on a North Carolina listing. It doesn't exist. So if we go back over to location, if that happened to be a South Carolina location, then over here on the office agent tab, that would then be ability to add. So it suppresses. It also helps with cities or counties that may exist in two states. So like Union County, for example, is in both. This would make sure that it identifies for mapping and also for labeling purposes the correct state for that county. Now, the other big change here, and you may have noticed that I didn't have to map my property because the system is now going to map your property for you. It's going to provide the latitude and longitude that you see at the bottom. This doesn't mean that that's more accurate than the old system. It simply means that we're placing the pin in what used to be a big blue circle on the map. If you know it's incorrect or want to verify the accuracy of it, you can still go in and set lat long manually and adjust that pin as necessary, just as you always have. And you can also verify the address on the right that you've listed and then match that up with the address that appears when you click on the parcel. So that ensures that that's mapped accurately, and then you can fine tune it from there. And of course, click done to confirm that new location. So we're going to map it initially for you first, but we do still expect for that to be mapped accurately if it's incorrect. All right, we're going to move over to our next tab where we see agent and office. The big change here is just it's been reorganized with like information together. List agent information there at the top. So this just focuses on agents, whether it be co or primary, teams on the listing. Then all the listing agreement details, the compensation, special conditions, bonus, all those things. compensation. Then showings. So we got this again labeled showing information, everything really logically organized. And then all of our internet stuff at the bottom. This was the one that was really confusing, I believe, in our old format, because you would work across a column with comparing two fields that you should have been looking at more of a, in line with each other rather than side by side. So this just organizes it better. No real new choices here. So really no reorganization of data in any of these areas. But as we move on down some other tabs, we're going to see some new lists that you might not be familiar with that are going to make it easier for searching and for adding. All right, so moving on to the property info tab. A big change here we kind of alluded to earlier, in that the type is now kind of moves up a level to single family, condo, townhome, and those other types. Now your levels can be identified for any of those types. So now we have a single family with 2 stories, or we have a condominium with 3 stories. We have all those different level options there. So that's kind of like taking the old type and levels and breaking them out into 2 and adding a couple and reorganizing. But also what that did for us is it allowed us to tie specific subtypes to that type field. So every one of the types you select would identify additional subtypes that could be selected for that. So this just allows for more specific definition of homes by, again, adding another field and reorganizing some of those choices to make more sense and be more logical. As we move on down, again, just be aware of the new organization, land info there. There's the condo townhome only. So this would be the section you fill out only if it's a condo or townhome. We've always had this information, just not been well organized. So a little better organization. Here's our building information. So by level, your number of bedrooms, number of full, number of half, your square footage heated and your square footage not heated. And notice all that's required for your bedrooms and bathrooms is a number of beds and full baths and half baths on the main level only. You will still have to put your zeros for your square footages, but your beds and baths, you will not have to fill out any that don't apply other than the main. Second living quarters, again, just combined with those. I got a question. The question is, hold on, I got to see who that's from. My text is huge. Benjamin, can you put detached garage with office or apartment above? So we do have a garage field. I got to find out where that is. So I'm going to take this piece by piece. So we do have a garage option. We do have a detached garage option, and we do, you know what? Let me get to Benjamin. Let me get to the rooms tab. I think this is going to answer your question. I think you're going to love it. So I promise I'll try to remember you asked the question, but you're going to see it. It's going to be very glaring as to how we're going to do that. So we're going to get to that next. So that's all that. You've got your construction for new construction. You've got your association information. Again, all together. I know the construction info was kind of hodgepodged all over the place. Again, a little easier to enter that all at one time, like information together. All right, the next tab. This is where the biggest change is going to happen in our system. This is also the place where I will be honest before we go there that we have created more work for you, but we do believe that the work is going to pay off in the end. And Benjamin, I think this is going to help with your configuration. So with the rooms, we're kind of flipping the script on how we do this. It used to be we would say level, and they would say what rooms are on that level. But what that didn't allow us to do was then be more specific about those individual rooms. In our new configuration, we're going to start with the room. So you're going to see this. You're going to start with the room, and you're going to pick it. So this is going to be every room that exists that you want to define. When you want to add another room, you just do more. Now, all you have to do, this is the minimum, 1 room and 1 level. You don't even have to do the size of that. You don't have to do what's in that room. You can simply do the room and the level. Okay. But we think that once you've done that, you kind of open yourself up to, hey, I need to define all the rooms that matter. And so that's when you would say, well, do I measure the rooms? Well, I have measurements. I might as well put these in here. Measurements, length, width. Make sure you had that measured by someone reputable. Okay, that does that. And then here's the great part. I think, Benjamin, this might help you. Well, these are going to be the features, but you're going to be able to also define an office from here in that drop down, and also talk about the features in that office. And then of course your garage would be different, separate, but I think this would also probably suffice, because you can also do, we could do a basement. So there's going to be something here for you. This might be something you have to contact our help desk specifically to get that worked into your specific search or listing. But I'm pretty sure there's stuff in here to help with that. And of course, remarks is always a catch-all for anything that makes it super unique. But we will also take suggestions if we're missing something. So each room, by level, measurements, and what's in those rooms. We were having a conversation with someone the other day in a meeting, and the ceiling fan thing is, I guess, not a big deal, but it's never clear which rooms that you were defining before had ceiling fans, because you just select it. A attic drop down might not be something that someone wants in a main bedroom, but it might be okay if it was in an office space. So you get to really define the room and what exists in that room as far as features or characteristics. So just a lot more definition on rooms. And again, as many rooms as you'd like to add, only one is required, and it's level. So again, more work, but we think it's worth it. And remember how this data is going out to the internet. This is going to be consistent with that RESO standard. So it's going to be formatted correctly for one home. And I know that's always been a drawback to one home, is that it only went to 4 rooms. So even if you had 8 rooms defined, it would only go to 4. So this is going to aid in that as well. All right, our features tab. This is probably where you're going to see the second most change, and it's just really in reorganization. No new functionality to learn. Just kind of need to figure out where they moved your cheese. So some of these are a little more logical. We've added some that are probably long time coming, like fencing features. So this is all about fencing. Nothing else, just fencing. We've got a whole new section here called horse amenities. These used to be all over the place. Exterior features, wherever else they might have been. So all organized to that. Thanks, Sean. To the RESO standard, and again, more logically organized. Also, these lists are much shorter than the old ones, so you don't have to scroll for days through that list. We have a whole parking section. So I think parking was sort of part of the features area, kind of one thing over here, another thing over here. So now we've really organized that to be more specific as far as those are concerned. So number of garage spaces, number of carport spaces, open, assigned, you got everything here. And if what you want is not in one of these lists, or a choice, or something you can type, we got parking descriptions, so you can talk about it, 250 characters as well. This is a never-ending battle, I will tell you, here at Canopy MLS, because everybody builds garages for their babies, their cars, all very uniquely, and everybody wants to define them very uniquely. So we've got that extra parking description to help with those really unique, one-of-a-kind features or things you want to say. Heating and cooling all together, utilities all together. Interior information, all about the interior, not mixed in with just features or property info. Community features, restrictions all together, and then the water amenities with our water body name still here, still pick list, just like it has been in the past. So again, nothing new here, really, just again, really reorganized, real thoughtful. You may find some things that have been added or tweaked a little bit by name. And so all the work that we've done here in the background over the past several years has all been working to making sure that your listings, whatever they had in the old system, had the right choice in the new. So we think we've done an excellent job at mapping that data, but this is where we're going to want you to go into your listings and make sure that the selections that are now selected in these new choices match up with what you intended in the old. And you may find some new things that you want to define, or maybe a better way than what you had in the past. So, doing that work might improve your listing. It's definitely going to make it better out on the internet and also in one home immediately. So good idea to go in and just check to make sure it still implies everything that you had intended it to. All right, our new green tab has our green sustainability. We have the verification types, which are those what we used to call HERS ratings. Same thing. We've got the verification metric, which would be the score that it received from one of the verifications. And then we also have the rating, which would be the gold, the silver, the platinum rating, and then also the year. And you can also add, if you have a home that has several of these, you can add several by just clicking more and repeating that process. So all dedicated to green. And then finally, remarks. Nothing's changed here. No character counts have changed. We will see a change in the remarks on the reports that you look at in Matrix, and we're going to get to that next. So what I want to do right now is just pause for just a second, because we've digested a lot of stuff about adding a listing. I just want to pause for any additional questions that you may have in the chat. And if I don't have an answer, Benjamin, I'm actually going to follow up with you. So you'll probably get an email or something from me on that question, just so I can run that by my tech guys and my help desk to see what they would think logically would be the best way for that. Yes, Deborah, the forms will be updated. We want to wait. Well, actually, today's the day. We got in lockdown today, so they should be finalizing those today or tomorrow, but they will be ready for the 7th, and probably sooner. I think Debbie wants to get those out by the 2nd, but sometime around then. Thank you for that. All right, so we're going to move now over to, I'm going to go back to my previous screen. We're going to go back over to the other version I have here. So we can look at the search and what we're going to see changing here. So obviously we change how you enter a listing. Some things are going to happen on the search side equivalently to match those up. But what we're also going to see on the search side are some new enhancements in navigation. And also I want to assure you that everything you had in the past still exists in the new. So all the way down to, I believe, recent searches. So I had a search that I ran, that's there. All your saved searches. So if you have some saved searches, your contacts, they're all going to be over in your new system. So nothing to worry about there. All their activity will feed over. Okay, so you're not gonna have to really do much of that. Again, you might want to go into some of their searches and make sure again that they look how you think they should. But for the most part, everything's going to port over nicely. All their favorites, all their notes, carts, all that stuff is going to port over. So where we're going to see changes is first, when you go to search, is going to be Angela, yes. Primary and secondary bedroom, second, master, or primary on the main will both be searchable at the same time. So Lisa, on that question, that's probably going to be like just a specific question about what you're seeing in the market, not about changes specifically. You might want to contact either compliance or the help desk for clarification on that one. Okay, so let's move over to search. So the first thing you're going to see are your new property categories in line with our ad edit. So residential is going to be there. No more condo townhome. Remember, you're going to search them here under the residential, either detailed or custom. We did lose the quick. So those of you that used to use the quick, you're not going to see a big difference if you go to the detailed. In fact, it's going to be more. Okay, so you're used to seeing in the quick search, maybe down to like right here in the detailed search. It just gives you more. So you're just going to have more choices here, but you don't have to go to them. If you just keep it right there, you'll have your quick search, no problem. For those of you that have implemented additional fields, all your additional fields will be intact. So if you had those there, you won't have to re-add them. They may be new because of the new organization, but those fields should be there, as they were. And you may have a new one added because the choice you made in one field in the old system now applies in the other field in the new. But again, double check those. You can always re-add and remove those for those that do add those additional fields. All right. On the search itself, control key, command key still is your friend. Remember that you're still using your ranges for when you're searching in your in your bedroom, bathroom fields. Nothing's changed there. We still have our map search, no changes there. Where you're going to see a change on the search screen most heavily is going to be in some of the fields that you see. So for example, remember our type, single family, condominium, townhouse. Now you can toggle that single family listing that you, or kind of townhome or anything else by using your control or command. You can be specific about which one. Again, your subtypes change based on your type selected. And again, remember your levels are now separate, so you can be a little more specific about configuration because the stories aren't tied to the type anymore. Another big change is going to be in some of your location lookups. For example, in city. So when you click in a city or a county field or a tax location field or a school field where we have a pick list, it's now going to say, please enter at least one character. You start to type just as it always has. But when you choose an item, it places it in the list and ties it to that field. So instead of you typing over it with the next one, you're just going to type the next one. You're going to select that, and you're going to do the next one, and so on. And if you want to remove one, you just go to the one you want to get rid of and you exit. So it doesn't type over the last one, but it also allows you to create a list that's easily editable by removing and adding an additional option. So those pick lists are going to work that way. The only ones that won't work off that functionality are going to be your subdivisions and your complexes, but you still will have that pick list, but you will have to put the comma to proceed there. So just remember that for subdivision and complex, you're still using your commas, but for your cities and other fields, you'll be using this functionality. We hope to change that someday. These lists are very long and sometimes can't be handled by that type of functionality. So continue to use your commas there. So Janet, those lists are so, I mean, those lists are long. We've got 24 counties. Every subdivision that exists and every complex that exists are in those lists. So they just can't handle that list in this fashion like they can the cities, because that's a kind of, it's not infinite. It's a finite number. There's only so many cities. There's only so many counties, but people are breaking ground all the time with names. So they're working on it. It's something that it's a wish list item for us, but we didn't think that it was a game changer or a deal breaker to launch the system with that promise of later. And 100, yes, thank you, Brenda. And 100 in North Carolina, because we're allowed to list in all those, and 46 in South Carolina. So that's 146 counties. Thank you for that reminder. So we are more than just the 24, and we got to maintain all those. So thank you, Brenda. All right, so when we do our search, no change here. You still got your match count on the fly there at the bottom. You've still got your tabs, your map tabs. You can go look at things on the map. Again, nothing's changed there. Where you're going to see the change is going to be in the results. So when we go to the results, we're going to see very similar to what we saw before. But first, we're going to see a new column, and that's going to be the subtype column. And again, because of what we've talked about along the way, where our type and our levels and our subtype have now been broken out to be logically paired. And since listings didn't have that field filled in for the most part, it's going to be blank to start with. But as new listings hit the system and people go in and edit their listings, they will be changing or adding that subtype to their listing. So that might be something that you weren't satisfied with the type and levels that you had to choose in the old system. There may be a better alternative in the new one, so you might want to go check that out. So just make note of those kind of things that you think might be improved moving over to this new database and new organization. Mike, sorry, Michelle, I'm assuming you're talking about the grids that you created, like the displays, the one-liners. Is that what you're talking about? If it is, all your displays are going to come over. So the only thing you might want to do is go to see if that right column maps to the right place and fix it. But otherwise, all your named displays, you can see these are from my current matrix. Moving over to the data dictionary system, they're all here. So again, that might be something, if you're utilizing those displays and you've created some, you might just want to go in and look and make sure it's still organized as you meant for it to be. So this one I probably got to clean up a little bit. I'm not sure. Yeah, that one looks good. But again, that subtype might be something, I might want to remind me on my listings, but also on this, remind me that might not be there for a while. I might not need it, or there may be a benefit to it. So check them out. Now, excuse me, I'm losing my voice today. Let me go back to the agent full. I'm sorry, let me go back to the single line. So that's still called single line. Most everything's still the same. You still have the ability to sort on the columns. You can move columns around. You can resize, as always. Where you're going to see a difference here is when you go into a listing. So in Matrix currently, when you click on an MLS number, it takes you to the agent full report, which this is going to do as well. The difference is going to be that the agent full report is going to now be what we used to call the Matrix 360 display. And you'll see here that there is no mention of a Matrix 360 display. It's just called agent full. And it's this: listing detail, tax data from realist, photos. We go to a different listing. This one's kind of got nothing in it. All right, listing. Okay, so everything you're used to. Taxes, photos on the current listing or last listing, all your history. This is also where we are going to house all the room detail. So this won't occupy the listing sheet. This will be a supplement that can be printed or shared only if the agent wants to. So they'll be able to go look at all this, look at the dimensions of those rooms, where they are, the features, and then later, if they decide to print or create a PDF of this, they can choose to include that or not. All the maps are still here. So we've got parcel maps, we've got flood maps that are available. Again, this used to be part of that Matrix 360 experience. We've got foreclosure information. So I want to go back to the listing for just a second. And I want to remind you, if you didn't know this, that in most full reports in Matrix, we had a cutoff as to how much of the remarks would print if someone printed it to a PDF or to a paper, to try to get it to one page or as few pages as possible, which meant that sometimes the remarks got suppressed. We now have the new tab called Remarks that will display every character and also assure that all characters are printed through the PDF creation or printing to paper if someone wants all that. So still going to suppress it on the listing if you just print that. But if you want the remarks, all of them, they're going to be there. And then the last one here is the open house tab. And I actually think I have one that has an open house. Did earlier. Let me give my second page here. There's one. So this one has an open house. So you're going to see that there's going to be open house detail there. And this would not only be the most, or the next open house, but all open houses in the future as well. So the listing will still have underneath the photo open house when it is, but the open house tab will house any open house now and into the future. So a couple new tabs there. A few of the tabs. So the listing tab is going to have a new listing format. As you can see here, the icons that used to be underneath the photograph are now across the top. So if you want to get to the photos or the map or move over to the open house or go to RPR or get to SAM for statistics or Remine or any of those, they're at the top now, more conveniently located. And then there have been a couple of changes as far as the labels on the MLS sheet, but everything's pretty much organized as it was. Our goal is still to keep this to as few pages as possible, but we still do have the agent one page if you still want to ensure that it's a one-page print for your client or for yourself. So we're going to look at that printing real quickly, and then I will end with opportunity for you to just ask a few more questions, and then I'm going to give you all a little bit more information to take you out into the new Matrix world. So when we go to print, I just want to be clear because all these tabs now, when you go to print and you're choosing that agent full, you're going to get to choose across those tabs what you print. So if you just want the listing as you always have, that's there. Now, remember also, we do have the agent, where is it? Agent, where is it? Agent one page, which is there. So you can still do that one. That's still going to exist. We don't think that our new reports are going to exceed that page, but we'll adjust them if we have to. Let us know if you use that. It's not working for you. But yeah, agent full, you can then pick the components and then deliver those wherever, whether it be to print or to PDF or to an email or simply to a device. So those are the changes that are coming in Matrix. So what I'd like to do is I'll keep my share up because you may have a question about navigation, but I'll just leave the last, I guess, 2 or 3 minutes for any final questions. This is definitely an overview. There's a lot of back end things that have happened that we didn't share today. I would encourage everyone to go to the Realtor Hot Topic that we scheduled on February 1st. You'll get a lot of background. You'll also see, Brenda, we still have agent brief. Agent brief would be that, I think 2 per page or 3 per page. That's still there. The agent 1 page was the one that we created years ago because people wanted the 1 page for printing, but we still have the brief. In the webinar, we will give you all some background on RESO and how that started, and some kudos to our leadership that have been on RESO boards to help move this along and be in the kind of the head of the pack as far as this is concerned. And then we've got also Alan Dargan's talking about the broker perspective and how this is going to help you as a brokerage or as an agent to better share your data. And then we will be doing this demonstration again at the end of that, so you guys could actually bag out on my part since you've already heard it, unless you want to hear me again. We'll be repeating this one then. So again, any questions? Let's see. Can you search by square footage on main level? Yes, Anna. Search residential. Let's see. Yeah, you would go down and add your, this has always been available. I just got to remember what it is. Level. This may not be it. I'm just grasping at straws right now. Hold on. Square footage. Yeah, so you could do, so you would have to do this. You'd have to add, like, if you wanted main level square footage main, you'd add that field, and then back on your form, on your search, and you could add as many of those as you need, and you can do that as a range.
Okay, perfect.
Brenda, so on that, let me go back to that search real quick. So Brenda's asking about the foreclosure information on the Matrix 360 view. So if there's current foreclosure information, it'll be under the foreclosure tab.
Right.
So this property doesn't have any current foreclosure info, okay? But also under the history tab, and I don't know if this one does or not, if it has foreclosure info, it would be listed here in the tax history, because you're going to get tax history, MLS history of that property. So anything that has been resolved will be in the history. Anything that's current will be under the foreclosure tab. Showing you how to search the primary and secondary bedroom on the main. All right, so let's go over here. Search residential, detailed. Oops, do that. Okay, so you do room, primary on the main, and then you do, you can even do second primary if you wanted on the main. You could do just a regular bedroom on the main, and you can also add more rooms. And this hasn't changed. This has always been there. The choices you have might change based on some of our new configuration, but this has always been a mechanism on searching. Oh, and make sure on that one, if you wanted both, that you chose and underneath. You do main, and then and. All right. Any final questions? All right. Thank you all very much. Thanks, Sean. And if you guys want to watch this again, we're doing another one on Thursday. We're doing a couple next week. And again, the Realtor Hot Topic is on February 1st. Don't forget to visit the website. Remember, we've got that posted at the top of your current matrix system, Data Done Better. So if you want to get a frequently asked question, you want to set up a presentation for your office, we'd be glad to do that as well, either via Zoom, or we could come out to your office or to your preferred location. But reach out to us, call our help desk if you have questions. And again, when the system converts over, just check your stuff. That's really the most important and the most vital way that you can be involved in this conversion to make sure it goes off as smoothly as possible. So